Hello everyone, this is Kestrel. It is Halloween night, and this is Blackberry. This is my black cat. Adopted him along with his sister, who sadly died in 2013 due to very sudden seizures. We're not quite sure how that happened, but this is her brother, one of the biggest black kitties I've ever seen. He's very healthy, he's just all muscle. This is Blackberry. I've taken some videos of him before, but this is the first time I've gotten him on my lap like this. And so his sister was named Blueberry, and she was a little black and white tuxedo cat. I believe he's an American Shorthair. American Shorthair. He might have some Bombay mix or the other way around. Who knows? He's a very sweet kitty. He's purring. The other reason Blackberry is very fitting for Halloween night is he and Blueberry were born on Halloween night, 2007. We adopted them both, my family and I. I'm the one who takes care of Blackberry now, since the rest of the family has scattered. Oh, you're purring loudly. We adopted them in the early winter. I'm sorry, my voice is fading a little bit. I'm exhausted. I've been going around finishing touches all day for getting ready from my trip to Hillsdale College in the very early morning. He and Blueberry were both born around Halloween 2007, and we got them as little baby 3-month-old kittens early winter 2008. So Blackberry wants to get down. I just thought I'd catch him on camera for you. Whoopsie. I know. You're okay. Oops. Claws got caught on my robe here. Okay. So I thought I had a really cool anime Halloween type shirt. I used to get the Agi Bento box a few months. I've kind of discontinued and picked it up again on and off because it is expensive. It's $30 a month, about, which doesn't sound like much for an adult, but I'm trying to do a lot of other things as well, and plus money is getting tight for everyone, so I do have to be careful. But I did get a few shirts. I think I gave the really cool Aki Bento Halloween type shirt to my younger sister, who was born in 1995. I briefly mentioned my sisters in the American Kestrel episode 3, all about the death of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. You can watch that. You can watch all the American Kestrel show episodes on my YouTube channel, Kestrel Raptorial. And so I think that's where the really cool Halloween Aki Bento shirt I got from it. This is, I don't know what series this is from, but it's this prismatic girl holding a guy with a sword who apparently is dying or bleeding, or very Halloween-esque, very Higurashi-esque. My siblings and I all loved the When They Cry series. Now, the sequel to Higurashi When They Cry is Umineko, and that has yet to have a really good English translation release, especially on DVD. You can get the visual novels, which are sort of video games, but you don't really do anything except read them. They're sort of like interactive novel comic books because they're mostly illustrated with words. So it's kind of Higurashi-esque, except I don't remember any of the characters in Higurashi no Naku Koroni wielding a sword. Of course, Rena Ryuga wields her cleaver, her hatchet. It's the closest, I think. Oh yeah, this is my Flareon. Of all the evolutions, I have a special admiration for Flareon. I know in the games it's the technically least useful, and when I play the Pokemon games, I begin with Charizard when I can get a Charmander, or if I'm playing the Generation 2 or its remakes, I start with Totodile. I get a Flareon anyway because I just love Flareon. It's my favorite. I guess my second favorite would be Glaceon, but I don't have the games. I never bought them. That where you can catch Glaceon. I just have too much to handle in order to worry about buying those games. Anyway, it is Halloween night, and I did promise to show you the Ghostrick deck I built. So Ghostricks in Yu-Gi-Oh!, the trading card game, are a series of Halloween trick-or-treater type monsters. That's not a different type. They are zombies, spellcasters, fiends, and I'm going to go through. So this deck, what I wanted to do is build the deck. This is a deck I built just for fun. When I play Yu-Gi-Oh!, my usual deck is a Dinosaur and Blue Eyes deck. I wanted to build a Ghostrick deck just for fun. I've been trying to complete a Ghostrick deck for a few years in time for Halloween, and this Halloween, I finally collected all the Ghostrick monsters. I think most of the Ghostrick spells and traps, if I missed one, I'll find out. This deck's not quite finished. It could use a couple more monsters. They would be repeats, of course. I'm not sure exactly which ones I should get. But for tonight's episode, tonight's Halloween special, I put them all in alphabetical order so we could look at all the Ghostrick monsters. So first are two from the extra deck. Ghostrick Alucard, which is based on Dracula, of course, it's the vampire. Next is Ghostrick Angel of Mischief. Then we have Ghostrick Doll. Ghostrick Dullahan, based off the Headless Horseman. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is a awesome Halloween movie. It's a Halloween story, originally written in, I believe, the early 1800s by an author named Washington Irving. Sorry, I know my voice is going to fade a few times. I'll try to not let it, but I am pretty exhausted. And I have to wake up at like 3 in the morning to go and catch my Amtrak train from Ohio to Hillsdale in Michigan. It can be quite a ride. I'll get there about 8 o'clock in the morning. So maybe I'll be able to sleep through the whole thing, but until then, I can't sleep. So staying up at night until midnight is pretty common for me. 3 or 4 in the morning, that's totally different. I've only stayed up all night a couple times in my life. Once when I was in high school, for this environmental club overnight under the planetarium dome party. That was a lot of fun. What year was that? Had to have been 2004. Couldn't have been 2005 because I graduated from high school in 2005. Could have been in that last semester. I don't think so. I think it was earlier than that. I think it was probably either spring or fall of 2004 is my best guess. That was a lot of fun. We didn't watch planetarium shows. We watched movies, just movies on the planetarium dome. I know one of the movies was Titan AE, which is a lot better than it looks like just from the cover. I know I watched a couple others. I don't remember what they were. That was a lot of fun. And some of the kids would actually did fall asleep. I didn't. I did happen to stay up all night that night. I tried to sleep. Didn't work. But I did sleep all day the next day. The only other time... I think there was one time in college, but it wasn't pulling an all-nighter. It was just for some other reason. And the only time in recent years that I've stayed up till 4 in the morning was to see the results of the 2016 presidential election, which I made a video for and then had to sleep almost all the next day, of course. But the results had been determined, so... next is Ghostrick Ghoul. So these are all based on Halloween monsters, and they have a, well, maybe besides this one, a kind of cutesy appearance. They are supposed to resemble trick-or-treater costumes, although you don't see any kids' faces, although you do see some of these demon faces. I think they're all intended, or at least implied, to be kids in these Halloween costumes. I gotta say, if these are Halloween, if these are trick-or-treating costumes, these monsters, they are S-class costumes. They are apex. Ghostrick Jack Frost. Not really a Halloween creature. Jack Frost is a Christmas creature, but sometimes it's portrayed as a killer snowman. Oh, look at this, look at this. It has this... Ghostrick Jack Frost has this, like, demon sack it's carrying. That's interesting. Ghostrick Jiangshi. A Jiangshi is a hopping vampire from Chinese folklore. If you've ever seen the cartoon Jackie Chan Adventures, which is pretty good, there's an episode with a Jiangshi. Ghostrick Lantern. And this one has that little demon face under the skeleton. Sorry, not skeleton, pumpkin head. It's kind of like a jack-o'-lantern wraith, actually. Ghostrick Mary, based on Bloody Mary. This is probably the most expensive Ghostrick monster that's not an extra deck monster. It's one of the last ones I got. In this deck, I have 2 copies of Ghostrick Mummy. Ghostrick Nekamusume. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Anime cat girl. Alright, this is going to be harder to pronounce. Ghostrick Succubus, based on the succubus. But it has the syllables so cute boss. if you're familiar with the legend of the succubus, that's a really weird and not G-rated name. Ghostrick skeleton, based on the Grim Reaper. So I would read the effects of the Ghostrick monsters, but they are lengthy and they are complicated. I tested this Ghostrick deck out recently, even though it's not quite finished, against my dinosaur deck, which has gotten a lot better since the last time I had the Building It episode on this channel. That was kind of tough to simulate. It is complicated. These Ghostrick monsters are complicated to learn. If you want a Ghostrick deck, I would say try to buy the Ghostrick Mary last. Some of them are really cheap, kind of depends on how good they are. Not necessarily always on the rarity, but of course the Ghostrick Mary and the Ghostrick Extra Deck monsters, the Alucard, Angel of Mischief, Dullahan, and Succubus are the most expensive. You can do it. You can do it. Just be careful with how you space out the spending. I'd like to learn this Ghostrick deck. It's pretty cool. My dinosaur deck just tore it apart, though. It's just... I will show you my dinosaur deck again now. It's pretty much finished. It's pretty awesome, especially when I was able to add a few of the new Dino Wrestler monsters and the Beat Raptor. I bought 3 Beat Raptors. Of course, can't work my hand. I'm so exhausted. So the first one I pulled from the Dark Neostorm Special Edition pack, and then I bought 2 more. 3 copies of Ghostrick Spectre, based on the Sheik Ghost. This one, I believe, I'll read this. I'll tell you why I have 3 of these. First of all, they were cheap to buy, but also because when a Ghostrick monster is destroyed by an opponent's card effect or by battle with their attacking monster and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand in face down defense position, and if you do, draw 1 card. So it is a draw card monster and allows you to intercept direct attacks after one of your other Ghostricks has been destroyed. So that's why I have 3 of them. Pretty useful. Ghostrick Stein, based on, well, if you don't know, you don't know your horror lore. But the Frankenstein monster. In the Frankenstein story, Frankenstein is not actually the monster, it's the doctor who makes the monster, but the monster is still called the Frankenstein monster. Ghostrick Werewolf, 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 There Wolf. Ghostrick Witch. Cute Witch, not exactly cheeky, but cute witch. Ghostrick Yeti. Again, the Yeti isn't really a Halloween monster, but I guess it is in horror stories sometimes. I don't know a lot of Yeti stories. Ghostrick Yuki Onna, the Snow Woman. Okay, that's all the monsters. And I did have some repeats because if I was to just collect 1 of each Ghostrick monster, I would still need a few more monsters. So. Now the field spells. Ghostrick Museum. Ghostrick Parade. For some reason I have 2 Ghostrick Parades. I don't think I meant to buy 2 because Now the deck has 4 field spells. That's more than it needs. Probably take 1 parade out unless I read it again and there's some reason why I have 2 parades. I don't know why I need 4 field spells, but about a second, I guess. Ghostrick Mansion. And the field spell search card, Terraforming. Swords of Concealing Light. Change of Heart, just to have another Halloween type card. I think that's actually a banned card, but this deck is only in its first version, so no big deal for now. Anyway, Dark Hole. Monster Reborn and Reincarnation. Now the Ghostrick traps. Ghostricks have a lot of traps. Ghostrick Vanish. Ghostrick Go Round. That looks fun for the Ghostricks. Okay. Call of the Haunted. Two Ghostrick Knights. Two Ghostrick Scares. Magic Drain. Fake Trap. And Torrential Tribute. So I will test this Ghostrick deck out again sometime. Trick-or-treater monsters, also fitting for Halloween. The Ghostrick deck is pretty good. Again, my dinosaur deck just had a field day with it, but maybe I didn't learn it quite well enough. I mean, I'm actually pretty sure. I have not yet learned the Ghostricks well enough. I just finished the deck. Tried it out a couple times. I will show you the deck in action on the day that I can. Maybe I'll test it out against my sister's deck when we get to duel. She uses the Zombie and Fiend deck, as well as the Winged Dragon of Ra. So she's kind of a Merrick type duelist, although I think if her deck actually was pitted against Yami Merrick's Battle City deck, she'd tear that apart. She'd tear Merrick's deck apart just and claim the Winged Dragon of Ra. I like the Winged Dragon of Ra too. I'm actually also in the process of, for fun, building a Wind deck. My dinosaur deck is finished, which will be the main deck I use as kind of my personal character deck. And for fun, I am also building an ocean deck. So, and I'll probably add the Torrential Tribute card to the ocean deck when that's in its final version. Okay, so I also said that I would talk about the film The Joker. The new Joker, which is just titled Joker, which came out in, I believe, was it September or October? It's been a few weeks since I've seen it. I went to see it on a Monday matinee day. I gotta tell you, it is the first movie rated R that I have felt really deserved that rating. It's a very well put together film. It's a very well told story. It's a good story. It's, I think, an important story, but it is chilling. I have a pretty high resilience in stories. There's ghosts with the treats downstairs and stuff. I've already had my fill of treats. I'm too old to go trick or treating, so I just bought stuff for myself. Plus, I have to get well. Okay, I don't have to get high on sugar, but I do have to stay up until I board the Amtrak train to leave for the Fight Against Socialism conference going on Hillsdale, starting on, well, the events start on the 3rd, but I'll be traveling tomorrow and the next day. I will, well, not the second day. I'll probably be on the November the 2nd, I'll probably just have an exploring day, exploring the grounds. I did not go to Hillsdale for my undergraduate. I kind of wish I had. I wish I had either gone to Hillsdale or Liberty University. I went to Cleveland State University, which in the 2005 to 2010 year range was not bad, but it's pretty much what's happening to every university now. And I've tried to call them out on them. Tried to call them out on this, on their social justice shit. They do not want to listen to me. No surprise, my old high school doesn't want to listen to me either, even though I have some pretty good ideas of how to actually help kids in education. Education is distinct from school. School often doesn't give you that good of an education. Learning by yourself, self-taught skills and apprenticeships in a trade, that will give you a much better skill set than school. Not to mention tuition rates are just out of control. Anyway, so let me talk a little about the Joker in detail. Just Joker. So, bringing up my file because there's a lot to talk about. So, the first few nights after I watched the Joker, I did not sleep well. If I were asked to describe the film in just one word, I would use chilling. First, I want to say in the rows sitting across from me that night were a few children. This is not a movie you want to take children to. I've had to deal with a lot of scary stuff. I've actually even been through more than one near-death experience in life, and I have a pretty high, what would you call it? I'm pretty tough. I can handle rough movies. This movie, though, this had me shuddering all the way through. Shuddering. And I'm pretty tough. So, Joaquin Phoenix is brilliant in his performance. And my God, can he be terrifying. How common a type of story this is in the real world, actually. It just usually doesn't end with a city in total chaos before the broken victim of abuse and neglect by the choices of a single mother is taken away to a mental institution or commits a mass shooting or ends up committing suicide. Now, the idea with the comic book version of the Joker is that he canonically doesn't have any one definitive origin. In the 2009 movie, The Dark Knight, when Heath Ledger's Joker tells those famous two different stories of his origin, when he says, want to know how I got these scars? And then he proceeds to tell the two different stories. The fact that these are not the same stories, that's reference to an old comic in the Batman universe titled The Killing Joke. in which the Joker specifically says that if he does have an origin, he'd like it to be multiple choice. Sometimes he remembers it one way, sometimes he remembers it this way, and then another time a whole other way. That has nothing to do with the story he told the time before, and the time before that, and so on. Which is something that no other fictional character that I'm aware of has. It is what makes the Joker a truly unique and terrifyingly infamous villain. He's probably the neck and neck with Pennywise, contending for the fiction's most terrifying clown ever. However, if there were to be one decidedly most likely to be canon origin for the Joker, I think this film has the best idea of all. In 2005, we got Batman Begins, a movie about Bruce Wayne's journey to understand the criminal world after his parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne. You see Thomas and Martha Wayne and young Bruce Wayne in this film. In 2005, we get the usual Batman origin that so his parents were murdered in a mugging by a man named Joe Chill, which we see at the very end of this movie. If it is Joe Chill, I think it's a slightly different version. In this movie, it actually has a lot to do with the outbreak of cries for socialism and communism, which I'm traveling to Hillsdale to talk about how to fight against, along with, the mob clearly resembles Antifa. Anger among the irresponsible population of Gotham City, just like there's irresponsible anger about their state in life among the irresponsible populations, and cry for socialism populations among a lot of the younger ages that I think there's more of a story to. There are a lot of reasons for why they became this way that I think are important that society is largely ignoring, just saying they're lazy and never grown up. There's a lot more to it than that, and if you really want a good explanation, you should go check out Stefan Molyneux's video, The Rise of the Daycare Generation, that really tells the story well. It doesn't excuse behavior, it just explains what's behind it, what led up to it. And what this movie does is explain and explore the downward mental spiral that someone who's already broken. Joaquin Phoenix's character, who's named Arthur Fleck in the movie, the Joker character never had any other name before. So, again, if there were to be a chosen, most likely canonical version, this would probably be what you would want to choose. He grew up as a boy raised by only this single mother who pretended that she was his real mother. Later we find out that's not the case. She adopted him for, I don't know who let her adopt a child. No one knows who his parents are. And back when she had a boyfriend and a child at the same time, this happens with a lot of single mothers. A lot of what's happened over the recent decades is as good fathers in particular, have been taken out of the house, taken out of families by horrifically anti-male, anti-father family courts. And women who want to break from their marriages just because they're dissatisfied, which is the number one reason wives ask for a divorce, is just dissatisfaction. There's very rarely another reason added to it. And I once had a disagreement with my sisters that even when the divorce is asked for because one of the adults showed infidelity, when you have young children, when you're a father and mother raising young children together, you really do have a responsibility primarily to maintaining the stable family for those children. When that falls apart and the mother alone is given custody of the children, often what will happen, and I'm talking about not just a little bit more than half the time, I'm talking about quite a significant percentage of the time, is she will miss male company, male attention, and open the door of her home to much worse men. And that's true to real life. And that's what happened in this movie with this uh, family, except the mother and the now adult son are not even related. Though she lied to him about being his actual mother, she wasn't. She just adopted a child because she wanted the really money that comes along with raising a child. Right, a single parent will often be given money by the government and often waste it on petty things, even if she is working a job. And the boyfriends that she picks up are often abusive to the children. You see this in step parents all the time too. I've heard that there are some step parents who form very good bonds with children. I think that's the rarity. The ones I've met have also been horribly abusive. So step parents are not much better, if any better. So Arthur Fleck is this abused child. His mother once had a boyfriend who smashed his head against the radiator, I think, to where he's actually had brain damage, and he's trying to struggle to hold on to a job as a clown for hire, which is sort of foreshadowing and also sort of like this barely successful attempt at holding a comedy is how he's able to make a little bit of money for them. All throughout the film, he's trying to hold on to a sliver of sanity. When he learns that he was lied to by his crazy mother about just about everything about his life, his mental hold that he still has breaks beyond all reparation and redemption and completes the downward spiral into this irreversible insanity, taking on the identity of the infamous Joker, now full blast. So that is the story of the movie. It's frightening because it's not that far removed from reality. Now, it's been called a sympathy for the devil story and been criticized for being that. I don't think that's actually what it is. I think it's a how someone becomes the devil story. And you do have this twinge of sympathy for Arthur Fleck because he really wasn't in charge of his condition, family environment condition, being raised as a child. Now, when you become an adult, you do have to take on the responsibility of trying to sort out your life yourself. But if you're mentally broken, that's very likely to be just impossible to do, even if you try to do it. And that's what happens here. It's a story of how someone already broken can go on a downward spiral that leads them into becoming the devil. There's a twinge of sympathy, but as he gets more and more irredeemable, it just turns into a how this happens and how it leads into total pandemonium. So I don't think it's not so much a sympathy for the devil story, it's a how someone already broken can go on this just downward slope of being abandoned, abused, all care, all attempted care for him being canceled. He learns that he was lied to all his life and breaks him beyond final reparation. If you want to hear more about this movie, you should really listen to Stefan Molyneux's videos. I will put a link to those below. And I think I'm curious as to whether to add this to my video collection when this comes out. My favorite movie that was released this year was Battle Angel Alita, which was an awesome movie, and I have a review for that on my channel. I have recently bought that. I'm eager to watch it again. I don't know if I'll add this one. I'm kind of tempted to, but I'm kind of tempted not to because it is so... the word really is chilling. And there were children going to see this movie. This is not a movie for children to sit down on. As an adult, you can do it, but it'll still make you shudder. It's still an important movie to see. I think if you are of age, it's worth seeing at least once. I would caution anyone against, well, not against, it is your choice, of course, but try to watch it more than once, and I think it'll give even the toughest adult nightmares. So, that is my Halloween special, my introduction to, well, not introduction, I've showed him before, but showing Blackberry, showing you my Ghostrick Deck, and talking about Joker. I think that will conclude the American Kestrel Show 2019 Halloween special, and happy Halloween, happy All Hallows Eve, and oh boy, do I need to get up early. It is going to be an interesting few days, and I will try to keep you updated with new videos as I attend Hillsdale College, CCA2 Against Socialism, seminar, conference. I will see you either tomorrow or the next day. Till then.